Hello, my dear ones, and welcome back to Mama Joyce's Stories. Imagine trusting someone like a sister, sharing your deepest secrets, your dreams, even your very life, only to discover they've been stealing it all right under your nose. Hello, and welcome back to Mama Joyce's Stories. I'm your storytelling grandma, Mama Joyce, and today I'm pulling back the curtain on a chapter from my life that still sends chills down my spine. It's the 1970s, a time of bell-bottoms, disco music, and friendships that felt unbreakable until one shattered mine in ways I never saw coming. This isn't just a tale of betrayal. It's packed with suspense, shocking twists, and the hard-won wisdom that helped me rebuild. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone you called a friend, or if you're wondering who in your circle you can truly trust, pull up a chair and listen close. We'll uncover the red flags I missed, the lies that unraveled everything, and the healing that followed. Let's dive in, shall we? But remember, dears, true friendship is a treasure. Guard it wisely. My dears, let's travel back to 1972, a year when the world felt full of promise and change. I was in my early 20s then, fresh out of a rocky high school romance that had left me weary of love but open to life's other joys. I just started working as a secretary at a small insurance office in our Midwest town, the kind of place where the air smelled of fresh coffee and typewriter ink, and the boss still used a rotary phone. Life was simple. Mornings typing letters, afternoons helping Mama with her garden, and evenings listening to records like Carole King's Tapestry on my little turntable. I was single, independent, and content, but I longed for a close confidant, someone to share laughs and secrets with, like the sisters I never had. That's when Ellen entered my life, like a whirlwind of energy and warmth. We met at a community bake sale for the local church, the kind where tables groaned under homemade pies and cookies, and the air buzzed with chatter. I was manning the lemonade stand, stirring a big pitcher under the summer sun, when she approached with a bright smile and a tray of her famous brownies. "These look delicious," I said, handing her a cup. She laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. "Try one. I'm Ellen, new in town. Just moved here from the city. Needed a fresh start after a messy divorce." She was a few years older than me, in her early 20s, with curly auburn hair, freckles across her nose, and an infectious enthusiasm that made you feel like you'd known her forever. We chatted for hours that afternoon about her two young kids, a boy and a girl, full of mischief, her ex-husband who didn't appreciate a good thing, and my own dreams of maybe going back to school for something more than secretarial work. From that day, our friendship blossomed like wildflowers in spring. Ellen lived just a few blocks away in a rented bungalow, and we'd meet up almost every day. She dropped by my office during lunch breaks bringing sandwiches wrapped in wax paper, and we'd gossip about the town's quirky characters like the nosy postman or the baker with a secret recipe for the fluffiest rolls. Weekends, we'd take her kids and my little niece, Mama's granddaughter from my cousin, to the park, pushing swings and sharing picnics of cheese sandwiches and apple slices. Ellen became my rock. She listened when I vented about work frustrations, like the time my boss overlooked me for a promotion because women don't need the extra responsibility. "You're better than that job, Joyce," she'd say, squeezing my hand. "One day, you'll run your own show." I confided in her everything, my past heartbreaks, my secret savings for a trip to New York City, even my silly crushes on the handsome mailman who delivered to the office. In return, I helped her settle into town. I introduced her to my circle, Betty from church, who hosted knitting nights, and Leela, who knew all the best thrift stores for bargain clothes. Ellen fit right in, charming everyone with her quick wit and homemade treats. She even started volunteering at the same bake sales I did, and soon we were inseparable, the dynamic duo, as Betty called us. I'd babysit her kids when she had evening shifts at the diner where she waitressed, reading them bedtime stories like The Velveteen Rabbit while she worked. In those moments, rocking her little girl to sleep, I'd feel a pang of longing for my own family someday. "You're a natural, Joyce," Ellen would say when she got home, hugging me tight. "Someday you'll have all this and more." Our bond felt unbreakable, like sisters forged in the fire of shared struggles. Little did I know, dears, that beneath her warm exterior, something darker was brewing, a jealousy that would steal pieces of my life, one by one. The first red flag appeared about 6 months into our friendship, but I brushed it off as coincidence. It was fall 1972, and I just bought a new dress for a church dance, a pretty blue number with lace trim that I'd saved up for weeks to afford. I showed it to Ellen during one of our coffee chats at her kitchen table, the scent of fresh brewed tea filling the air. "It's perfect for you," she gushed, fingering the fabric. A week later at the dance, she showed up in an almost identical dress. Same color, same style, just a size smaller. "What a coincidence," she laughed, twirling. "I saw it in the window and had to have it." I smiled, but inside, a tiny voice whispered, "That's odd." Betty noticed too, pulling me aside. "Joyce, it's like she's copying you." I shook it off. Friends influence each other's style, right? But the incidents piled up subtly, like leaves falling in autumn. By early 1973, Ellen started mirroring more than just clothes. I'd mention a book I was reading, like The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and the next week, she'd be quoting it verbatim, claiming it as her new favorite. I confided my dream of taking night classes for business management, and suddenly she enrolled in the same program at the community college, even asking to borrow my notes. "We're in this together," she'd say, her eyes sparkling. At first, it felt flattering, like we were twins in spirit. But then came the job twist. My office had an opening for a junior administrator, a step up from typing memos, with better pay and responsibility. I applied, excited, and told Ellen all about it over lunch, sharing my resume tips and interview nerves. "You'll nail it," she encouraged. Imagine my shock when, a month later, the boss announced Ellen had gotten the job. "How?" I stammered to her later. She shrugged. "I heard about it from you and thought, why not? They loved my energy." Energy she'd learned from me? The knot in my stomach tightened, but I congratulated her, pushing down the unease. Friends support each other, I told myself. Suspense built as the copying escalated. Ellen began adopting my mannerisms, the way I'd laugh with a slight head tilt or phrase compliments like, "That's just darling." She'd show up to social events in outfits eerily similar to mine, even styling her hair like my signature waves. Whispers started in our circle. Lila pulled me aside at a knitting night, the yarn clicking softly. "Joyce, Ellen's acting like your shadow. It's creepy." Betty agreed, her voice low over key. "Watch out, she's taking credit for your ideas at those college classes." I defended her. "She's just inspired by me. That's what friends do." But deep down, doubt festered. Why did she always seem one step ahead, claiming my dreams as her own? One evening in mid-1973, the first major twist hit like a thunderclap. I'd been saving for that New York trip, scraping together every penny from my paycheck, dreaming of Broadway lights and skyscrapers. I kept the money in a hidden jar under my bed, confiding only in Ellen during a vulnerable moment. It's my escape fund for when I need a fresh start. Weeks later, I checked the jar. Half the money was gone. Panic surged. Had I been robbed? I confronted Mama, who swore she hadn't touched it. Then, at Ellen's house for dinner, I spotted a new brochure on her table, a travel pamphlet for New York City, with hotel bookings circled. "Planning a trip?" I asked casually, my heart pounding. She beamed. "Yes, I've been saving up. It's going to be amazing." Saving up? With what? Her diner job paid less than mine. The coincidence was too stark. That night, lying awake, the pieces clicked. Ellen had been in my house alone while babysitting my niece. Had she snooped? Stolen? The thought chilled me, but without proof, I stayed silent. the suspense gnawing like a persistent itch. As 1974 dawned, our friendship entered a darker phase. Ellen's life began to mirror mine in uncanny ways. She started dating a man who looked remarkably like the mailman I'd crushed on. Same build, same easy smile. "He's perfect," she'd gush, describing dates that sounded like fantasies I'd shared with her. Then came the subplot with my family. Mama had been planning a big reunion picnic, and I'd spent weeks organizing it. Recipes, invitations, even a special quilt I'd sewn as a centerpiece. Ellen offered to help, and I gratefully accepted. But on the day of the event, she arrived early, borrowing my quilt to set up. When guests raved about it, she claimed, "I made it myself. Joyce inspired me." Mama pulled me aside, frowning. "That looks like your handiwork, dear." The theft of credit stung, but it was just the beginning. Suspense mounted when Ellen announced she was quitting her diner job to pursue bigger things. Coincidentally, my boss mentioned a new position opening up, a managerial role I'd been eyeing. I applied discreetly, not even telling Ellen this time. Days later, she casually dropped, "Guess what? I got an interview at your office." My blood ran cold. How did she know? Had she gone through my things again? I decided to test her. I left a fake diary entry on my desk during one of her visits, mentioning a secret crush on a fictional coworker named Frank. Sure enough, a week later, she confided in me, "I think I like this guy Frank from your work. Met him at the coffee shop." Frank didn't exist. The realization hit. She was spying, copying, stealing my life to build her own. The tension built to a boiling point in the summer of 1974. I'd started seeing a nice man named Robert, a teacher from the local school. Tall, kind, with a love for books that matched mine. Our dates were simple. Walks in the park, sharing ice cream cones under the stars. I kept it quiet at first, but eventually told Ellen, excited. "He sounds wonderful," she said, her eyes gleaming a bit too brightly. Red flag. Soon after, Robert mentioned running into my friend Ellen at the library, where she'd happened to be reading his favorite book. Then, the twist that cracked everything open. Robert called me one evening, voice hesitant. "Joyce, Ellen asked me out. She said you two weren't serious and that you'd be fine with it." My world spun. Stealing my crush? It was the last straw. Fueled by anger and Betty's encouragement, I launched my own investigation, a subplot that turned me into a reluctant detective. I enlisted Betty to casually chat with Ellen's ex-husband via a mutual friend, learning he'd left her because of her obsessive jealousy towards other women's lives. Then I confronted her kids, innocently, during a play date. "What does Mummy do when she visits my house?" The little boy blurted, "She looks in your drawers for treasures." Proof! But the biggest twist came when I borrowed back my own things from her house during a visit, finding not just my missing money jar, half empty, but a notebook filled with my copied ideas, my business class notes rewritten as her own, lists of my friends' contacts, even a plan to become like Joyce, with steps like get her job, her style, her man. The confrontation was explosive, a scene straight out of a drama. I invited her over for tea, the kitchen table set with her favorite cookies as bait. As we sat, the air thick with unspoken tension, I laid out the evidence, the notebook, the jar, Robert's call. "Ellen, why? You've been stealing my life." Tears welled in her eyes, but then came twist two. "I envied you. You had it all. Independence, dreams, a loving mama. After my divorce, I felt empty. Copying you made me feel alive." It wasn't just jealousy. It was a deep-seated insecurity from her abusive childhood, which she confessed in a flood of sobs. Twist three. She revealed she'd faked some of her successes to impress me, like lying about enrolling in classes. The betrayal hurt, but her vulnerability added layers. Was she a villain or a broken soul? I ended the friendship that day, voice steady. "You need help, Ellen, but not from me. You've taken enough." She left in tears, and word spread through town. Our circle distanced her. The fallout was painful. I felt violated, questioning every relationship. Subplot resolution. Betty became my true best friend, helping me rebuild. I changed jobs, pursued my classes earnestly, and even took that New York trip alone, the city lights healing my spirit. Years passed, and in a final twist during the 1980s, Ellen reached out via letter apologizing after therapy. We didn't reconcile fully, but it brought closure. Healing came slowly. I journaled my feelings, leaned on faith and family, and learned to set boundaries. True friends uplift, not imitate. Oh, my dears, what a journey that was. From unbreakable bonds to unimaginable betrayal, with twists that taught me the value of self-trust. If this story resonated, remember, guard your light, but don't let fear dim it. True friendship blooms in authenticity. Now, if it touched your heart or reminded you of your own tales, hit that like button, subscribe for more of Mama Joyce's stories, and drop a comment below. Have you ever faced a friend's betrayal? Share your thoughts. Let's support each other. Until next time, keep your circle true and your spirit strong. God bless you all.